We will call the meeting of the Beach Park Village Board to order. Will Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Gust is absent. Trustee Hucker.
Here.
Trustee Miller. Here. Trustee Otterson.
Here.
Trustee Siddick. Here. Trustee Wells. Mayor Jensen is absent. Clerk Swingers is here, and Attorney Magna.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I can do that good.
Okay, our first order of business tonight is the consent agenda. We have the approval of the minutes from the January 12th board meeting and the workshop of January 11th. Bills presented for payment and finance report. I would add that I would request that the board would take a little extra time when you have time to review the new format of our monthly finance report. Hopefully you all got to dive into it a little bit, and you'll notice that there's a format that starts with a narrative. For those of you that don't like staring at numbers, Peggy has done a great job of putting this together for us. We have some abbreviated reviews, reporting, and hopefully it will make more sense. She's anxious for any feedback. If there's more information that we would like to have, and or if there is less information that we would like to have or a slightly different format, please don't be shy. Let her know, let me know, let Ken know, and we'll get it done. So with that, is there any item on the consent agenda that the board would like to have discussed separately? Is there any item on the consent agenda that the public would like to have discussed separately? I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Hucker.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Otterson.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
And Trustee Wells.
Aye.
The motion passes. Trustee reports. First report for building and zoning. Just a brief update on one pending TIF matter. We had a project that had been presented for a development out on Green Bay Road, gas station, etc. We've come to loggerheads at this point with the developer. We're waiting to see what comes next. So at this point, that particular project is on hold and not progressing forward. Secondly, we have the ordinance that had been tabled last week for the conditional use of pawn shop at Gladstone Square. We will table that one more time as we wait for the prepared ordinance for the regulations that the village will put in place should a pawn shop ever be present in the village. So that will be forthcoming. And thirdly, we have consideration of two matters before us from the Beach Community Church. The Plan Commission heard a request from the petitioner for the addition of a new building, which was a mixed recreational use building, which would integrate some storage as well as a gymnasium type use. Will include, I believe, some bathrooms, and was heard by the Plan Commission, and we had a recommendation, unanimous recommendation for the conditional use as a recreational use, as well as, hold just a moment, the requested variances. Just take me a minute to find them because they're attached together here.
That'd be the roof height and the side yard setback?
Yes. Sorry.
Those little Post-it notes with the arrows.
Yeah, I had that, and then here we go, we're getting there. This is the first, my apologies, I had them marked up, and then I got a different copy here. Yeah, we have the conditional use and the variances. Yeah, the summary of the conditional uses included the yeah, the use would generally not go beyond 10 p.m., that it would be used as storage as well as the gymnasium, basketball, volleyball, whatever type use. And there were some drainage issues that were discussed, but again, everything was approved or recommended for approval by the Plan Commission, as well as the variance, as Mark stated, which was the height and the setback issue. So we need to take these separately, and we have two ordinances before us. Ordinance 2012-04, an ordinance approving petition of the Beach Park Community Church for conditional use of recreational accessory use at 37283 North Green Bay Road. I would make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Question?
Yes.
These are preliminary plans?
Yeah, the plans would be reviewed for compliance and everything by the building department and
And the village engineer?
zoning. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
John, I just have a question.
Sure.
I think we're looking at a setback variations.
Yes, there was a setback variation, and that's what I was trying to set my fingers on here, and I apologize.
It's on the second one. We're talking about the first
Right.
one here.
The use itself is the first one. The conditional use is recreational use.
Okay.
And then we can
Okay.
dive into that one. Any other discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Otteson.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Hawker.
Aye. All right, and the second item, I found it. That was the order of the pages that threw me off. The second order was for the recreational use, the side yard setback and accessory building height and accessory building limits. So I would make a motion that we would approve ordinance number 5 for said variances.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions. I know there was some questions from some of the neighbors regarding the lighting, potential lighting concerns. One of the statements, and the other was...
The answer to that is that they would be complying with the village lighting ordinance. There was no specific conditions laid down as to anything outside of the ordinance that would be required. But there were questions about lighting, sound,
Right.
and there was a big question that was initially raised by the public about having a recreational building without bathrooms and the need to travel across the parking lot. Actually, the church came forward and said they were able to devise a plan that would permit that to have the bathrooms, so they made the adjustment accordingly.
It was actually the addition of the bathrooms that caused them to need the side yard setback variance.
Yes.
Because it added 6 feet to the end of the building.
Exactly,
Okay.
So
exactly.
that worked out pretty well.
And the other question I had was, I know we were looking at some setback variations. I'm just wondering, are there any residents in fairly close proximity? Because my map is a little cut off here, so I wasn't able to really determine.
They have a vacant area to the east, which would be behind the building, if you were thinking of it from Green Bay Road looking back.
Yeah.
They have an area that's not able to be developed. I don't remember if it was a wetland issue over there. So there's a buffer, natural buffer there. There are residences to the north and residences across Verco to the south. But you're right, the map doesn't...
The side yard, on the very last page, you'll see the variation for the side yard setback is on the north, I believe, correct?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And there's, if you'll notice, there's a utility easement running through there.
Yep.
And I believe there's some trees, it's like scattered, like shrubbery and
Yep.
stuff in there. Between that and that, I guess it would be lot number 6.
Yep.
So, I mean, the house is not that bad, so it's not that close to the house, you know, there's a utility easement and some trees, you know, some bushes.
I just wonder if the deciduous trees, I'm just wondering, because I know in the summer, those would bear leaves where they would act as a buffer, but in the wintertime, so I'm just concerned about the noise issue and the proximity to the residents. We want to make sure, we want to be able to accommodate your needs, but also want to take into consideration our neighbors and make sure they're,
Yeah, the Plan Commission did hear testimony both directions on that, and they were satisfied. I don't know that I have any additional information for you other as to the type of vegetation there, but
for the petition, I was just wondering, would you guys, would there be any consideration of any additional buffering or vegetation along that area, possibly for?
For the sound,
Yeah.
I did a decibel reading at the church. They want to know what the decibels were outside of the church, because one of the neighbors says that the music was loud. I did a decibel reading of 60 decibels. The music, you could barely hear it outside the church. When a car would go by Green Bay Road, and this was at the side of the church, the decibel reader would go up to 65 decibels. If I had a decibel reader in here and we were just talking at this level right here, it would be 65 decibels.
Okay.
So that's why it wasn't much of any concern, because it was
that,
quieter. The music in the church from inside to outside was quieter than just a normal conversation.
also the north side of the building is the storage use, am I correct on that?
That would know.
Or is that-
It's going to be
The south would be, okay, all right, I wanted to clarify
The
that.
complaint wasn't so much about the storage facility.
Right.
It was about the existing facility.
Right. Yeah, that really was unrelated to the petition or to your request, but it was a concern.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Thank you.
All right. There being none, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Roll call, please.
Trustee Otterston?
Aye.
Trustee Siddick?
Aye.
Trustee Wells?
Aye.
Trustee Hucker?
Aye.
And Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Motion carries. That concludes my report. Public Works, Trustee Otterston.
Thank you. The Public Works Department is working on putting together a volleyball team to participate in the first tournament at the new facility at the church out there. Just kidding. They wouldn't invite me to join anyways. The only thing on the agenda tonight for Public Works is to entertain a resolution to spend up to $100,000 of our annual motor fuel tax money on road salt for the winter season. So if there's no questions on that, I would make a motion. Do I need to word it any differently than that? Just spend up to $100,000 on salt.
It's Resolution 1.
Second.
Oh, thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mark, when does winter start this year?
I'm not even going to say anything. We've been lucky.
All
Maybe
right.
we'll use it next year.
Perhaps.
Or for seasoning on
If we're lucky.
something.
If we're lucky.
For the cookout after the volleyball game.
Yeah,
Okay.
cookout.
If we're lucky.
All right. Roll call, please.
Trustee Siddick?
Aye.
Trustee Wells?
Aye.
Trustee Hucker?
Aye.
Trustee Miller?
Aye.
Trustee Otterston?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Now that concludes the Public Works report.
Thank you. Public Relations and Economic Development Report, Trustee Miller.
Yeah, no report tonight.
No report tonight. All right. Intergovernmental Affairs, Trustee Wells.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no report tonight.
Report. Parks and Recreation, does anyone have a report for Trustee Gust?
I will report that Trustee Gust is attending the Parks and Recreation Annual Conference in Chicago. Left today and will be there through Saturday, and I'm sure he'll come back full of fresh, exciting ideas and products that we can use to enhance our parks.
Well said.
He always has lots of fresh ideas when he comes back. It means more work for the rest of us. But that's why he's not here tonight.
All right. Well, then we'll excuse him as long as he's doing village business.
Yeah, he is.
Public Safety Committee, Trustee Siddick.
Thank you. I do have one quick item under the emergency preparedness meeting that we have coming up here in the near future. And we have a gentleman by the name of Mr. Chester Split, who is our coordinator for ESDA. And he is going to be hosting the upcoming meeting for emergency preparedness. And Mr. Split is here with us this evening. And Mr. Split, if you have any additional information on the upcoming meeting for the rest of the board, if you could share, that would be terrific.
Well, the reason for the meeting is we decided that with all the bad weather and the disasters we've been having over the last years, to be more proactive with the community and get them more involved in getting themselves ready for the disasters that are happening. So what's being done in Lake County throughout all the communities is that there's been a lot of preparedness going on with what they call Community Emergency Response Teams, CERT, and ESDA units and so forth. So I wanted to get a handle on it by offering a community preparedness program for the village of Beach Park and their citizens. Looking at the size of the village, we have well over, 13,000 population. I propose that we maybe have a training meeting every quarter in order to have enough time for most citizens to come out and respond and learn what we can teach them about getting ready for disasters. We use a lot of good information. We'll be using this manual that's provided by the FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency. It's called Are You Ready? There's also a CD that goes along with this for people who want to take a CD versus the printed material. They can have that. And the class will last roughly about 2 hours. And during that time, we're going to go over pretty much everything, how emergency management works, how it functions in Illinois, Lake County, our own community, and then how they can become available and become more knowledgeable about how to get themselves and their families ready. We'll teach them how to develop what we call an emergency plan, an emergency kit, so that they can have a kit with water, food, because we know that when we have a disaster, sometimes we either have to evacuate or stay in place, so we're going to teach them all of that. And then we're also going to go over what a lot of people don't understand, too, is that not many people know what the Lake County Health Department is doing as far as the emergency medical distribution plan. Some people at high levels know that the polling places will be used to distribute medication in Lake County. So part of our training will be making them aware of what Lake County is going to do. So pretty much the program, like I said, will last 2 hours. It'll be open to the general public. We'll have it in the evening, which will be more convenient to people, mostly from 7 to 9. We'll be passing out the pamphlets, giving them information, and encouraging them to actually come to the training and learn how to prepare themselves and their families. And also, at the end of the meeting, we're going to talk a little bit more about CERT, the Community Emergency Response Teams, because that's an additional 20-hour program. If we get enough response from the village, I am certified both in Illinois and Wisconsin as a certified trainer. So I'd be happy to either start some classes here if we get enough response from the village, so that these people can receive the training, the equipment, so then we have additional volunteers to help us should we have a large-scale disaster. So I'm hoping the board will approve and say it's okay to have the meetings. And like I said, I'm shooting for 4 meetings, one each quarter, to get it started because we have such a large population.
Okay.
Any questions?
I have a question, Ted. If the public is interested in participating in these upcoming meetings, how would that be handled in terms of their registering for it? How would the public be...
Well, I think we were going to try to put something on our sign over there. We were going to go and use the reverse 911, making them aware that it's going to be available. And I think we could probably get something in the newspaper once we set up some dates. I don't have dates yet. I'll have to check with Lori to see when the rooms are available. But once we get the dates and everything set up, we will put a notification out there in maybe 2 or 3 different forums.
Okay, and that would be limited in terms of the capacity, correct?
Yes, we would probably limit it to maybe 25, or 50, something like that. No more than 50 people could come.
It would be first come, first serve, I'm
Right,
assuming?
first come, first serve, RSVP, right, and then that's why we're having 4.
Okay. Okay.
And if we get a larger response, we can even go to a 5, depending on the response. One time, I think 2 years ago, we combined a program with Zion ESDA. We advertised in the paper, and we just had 3 people show up. So it depends. If we get the number of people coming out for the thing, we'll have more.
Okay, I just thought that information would be critical since we got the media here. They would be able to get the word out for us.
Right. I'm hoping they'll put something in there tonight, but then we'll also follow it up with a reverse 911 when we get closer to the dates so that people get reminders.
Thank you, sir.
Once we have the dates figured out, do you know when the deadline is to get something in our next newsletter that goes out to everybody? Is it in early March?
Yeah, and usually Gina sends something to all of us. If you have anything that needs to go in the newsletter, she needs to know by, a certain date.
That's
So-
what
Yeah, we can get it in
Come
there.
up with, in the next few weeks, come up with the dates that'll work, at least the first couple dates.
Right.
We can get in the newsletter, that goes to everybody.
Right, and then get it in the newspaper. But that'll be pretty easy. I just have to check with Lori, and then I have to check my schedule, and we'll do a couple.
Are there any budgetary, do you need any funds approved?
No, most of the stuff can be covered under ESDA. We're just looking at coffee and some little cookies for dessert or something like that. Most of the materials that we get,
That's why you only get 3 people to show up.
I know it's right, right. We need
Advertising,
we need to have pizza and beer, right?
a cookout or something, we
Right.
get the Domino's to
Right.
donate some pizza or something.
No, I thought I'd run up to Culver's. He's always pretty good on donating
There you
hamburgers.
go, now you're talking. There's 10 people, what do you got?
No, but no, most of the printed materials, all this material is free from FEMA, but they have to request it individually because due to budget constraints, we used to be able to get hundreds of these, but now they'll send only one out. And then when you try to reproduce these and print them out, it doesn't look as great as the actual copy. So hopefully the money will be, there won't be a lot of money involved except for just refreshments.
Does the board have any issue with turning over the reins to Chet to set these meetings up?
No, I think that's great.
You have our blessing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Split.
We could raffle off a generator or something like that.
Well, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Siddick. Village Treasurer.
Tonight, I just wanted to bring you up to date that we're working on discussing with different investment firms and trying to maybe diversify somewhat with the institutions we're dealing with. We'll be investing in the same types of instruments, like CDs and that. But we have found that we have been approached by 2 different institutions, and they are offering us much more than we're getting now. Right now, we're just waiting for the documents and paperwork to come forward from them so we could set it up.
Right. And any changes in investing or banking requires resolutions, I assume?
Usually resolutions. Does the village have an investment policy?
Yes.
Overall, and everything consistent with the investment
Yeah.
policy?
Yeah. Okay.
So just new resolutions if you're going to subtract.
All right.
That's it.
All right. Thank you, John. Village Engineer.
Thank you. I have a few items on the agenda. The first one is the monthly engineer's report. That's just in your packet for your information. It's an update on all the current and pending projects. The second item is recommending that the board consider final pay request for the 2011 MFT street maintenance project. And the recommendation letter was in the packets, with a pay request to Peter Baker and Sons in the amount of $58,827.11.
I would make the motion to approve payment of $58,827.11 to Peter Baker and Son.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus. Trustee Hucker.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Thank you. The next item is the final pay request from Payne and Dolan for the ERP Blanchard Road resurfacing project. If you recall, this is one that the village received some funding for, and the total project came in approximately $6,000 under budget. We have reviewed the pay request and recommend that payment be made to Payne and Dolan, Inc. in the amount of $50,960.74.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion?
And that 6,000 was under budget. Does that stay in the MFT fund
Yes.
then? That goes into the MFT fund. We can buy some salt with it.
Go. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Hucker.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Otterston.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Thank you. And then the last item is an update, more or less, on the Beach Road reconstruction project. We've been working towards the April 27th letting for the IDOT local roads. And we're finishing up the design, which we've been authorized by the village to complete. In order to make the April 27th letting, we will be submitting the final, they've been reviewed once through IDOT, but we're submitting the final plans and specifications February 6th, along with a draft of the agreement. The agreement was provided in the packets just for you guys to review, to think about. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them this evening. The board, this gets submitted, we fill in the blanks. This gets submitted along with the final plans and specifications. Then IDOT goes through it, and then the village board would have to approve this agreement. At the point you are committed to doing the project is when you approve this agreement, and that would need to be done by the last meeting in February, so 2 meetings from now, because that has to be submitted to IDOT in executed form on March 6th. And then that would commit you to 30% of the project. If you recall, this is we're planning to receive 70% of the funds through the IDOT program, so the village match is 30%. Our engineer's estimate for the construction cost is $2.4 million. If you'll see in the agreement, IDOT bumps those numbers up for the agreement to be able to handle anything that might come up during construction, any contingencies, potential things like that, because they don't want to have a project stopped and have to go back for approvals for the matching. So based on the cost estimate that we have, the $2.4 million, with engineering, the 30% match would be somewhere, you could fully expect to pay somewhere between $750,000 to $800,000. But because of the way the agreement is written, you have to be prepared to go, for the 30% to the $900,000. So I just wanted to make sure that the board was all aware of that and can, I guess, review that. If you have any questions, let me know. But like I said, for the April letting, it's the last meeting in February that the board would have to approve the agreement.
So, Marcia, are you saying 900,000 would be the maximum?
Yes.
So not to exceed
Right.
900? Okay.
That would be the village's maximum liability.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you.
Village Coordinator, you had one item under the report, your report, that I think we decided wasn't really necessary. That's an automatically renewing contract that we are just simply not going to allow to automatically renew.
Correct.
So I don't believe any board action is required on that. Yes.
Attorney might have said we need a consensus.
Just get a consensus. You can't take, it's not on the agenda. Consensus authorizing her to put it in motion, and then the formal approval can come for ratification at the next board meeting.
Oh, so we do need to ratify a non-renewing of a contract?
A direction not to.
Not to. Okay. All right. My mistake.
You have a statement in the contract says it automatically renews.
Yeah, and that'll be the last one we sign like that.
Don't let that happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
That'll be the
But
last
now
one
we have to have we have to give them notice by February 1st.
Right. Yep, the note, we're going to,
That's why we're getting the consensus.
Consensus,
We'll
okay.
ratify it at the next meeting.
All right.
We don't normally recommend that procedure, but sometimes you have to. This is one that we have.
so to gather that consensus, that would basically be to not continue to renew the contract we currently...
Send notice of-
Notice, to send the notice, okay. Do we have a consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
Have not, heads nodding in every direction.
Yes, to not.
You have a consensus.
Thank you. We are looking at proposals from a few other companies. We do have a few in mind, so we'll proceed with that.
Just look for a little guidance on how to go through that process from the attorney when we're ready.
Yep.
And I also have one other item.
Sure.
If you notice, there's a memo that was placed in front of you regarding NIMEC, and it looks like there may need, this is something that came up, it's brand new to me, and it was just brought up to me, I believe late last week, NIMEC contacted me regarding the bidding process for our lift stations. And in 2009, there was a resolution that was passed giving the village administrator the okay to go ahead with to give the okay to go ahead with the bidding process. So there would probably need to be a resolution change done. I did give Rudy the information, so.
It appears that this, and I've worked with NIMEC for other communities before, what they do is they consolidate communities in order to go out for a group bid for supply of electrical energy, and they have a very tight window usually to get those bids out and in, and once they're in, there's like 24 hours to accept it because of claimed volatility in the electrical market, supply market. So your resolution at the next meeting will provide your village coordinator with the authority to accept the low bid that NIMEC produces. So it doesn't have to wait for another meeting cycle, which might be too late.
So
And,
we'll have-
and NIMEC, when I talked to them, they actually agreed to be part of a conference call with Ken and I to go over if we have any questions, just make sure that we have a good understanding about what the process is.
Good. Okay, so no action is required tonight, but we will see that on the next agenda then.
Thank you.
Okay. Village attorney.
No report.
All right. Village clerk.
I was asked to prepare a resolution. The TIF committee is now going to meet at 5 o'clock instead of 5:30, so I just need someone to make a motion to accept that resolution. It would be number 2.
I would make a motion to change the meeting time on the set meeting dates from 5:30 to 5 through Resolution 2.
Second.
We have a motion and a second discussion.
Does the fine for being late to the meeting still apply, since it's, I know you run a pretty tight ship at those meetings, and it's $25 for every 15 minutes you're late.
And 2 pieces for the ESDA committee.
All right, well, I'll give it a shot.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hucker.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Siddick. And Trustee Wells.
Aye.
That concludes my report.
I have no report under the mayor's report. Now would be the time for any citizen that would wish to address the board to rise, come to the podium, state your name, your address, and your case. Going once. Going twice. We have no citizens addressing the board tonight. We do have a need for executive session to discuss personnel matters. At this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Hucker.
Aye. We will reconvene when we are complete.
7:35.
And in the room right there.
Okay.
We all agree.
way did Linda go?
Milt wouldn't stand for that.
I don't know. Did she? No, she's probably in there with...
Where'd Linda go?
She's still in there with...
I'll keep two, I can't. Let me go grab her.
Take the hammer. Take the hammer with you. We'll get her back here.
The board will reconvene after executive session. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hucker, Trustee Miller, Trustee Otterson.
Here.
Trustee Siddick. Here. Trustee Wells. Trustee Gustus absent. Mayor Jensen is absent. Clerk Windows, Attorney Wagner.
First item to report from the executive session, I would like to ask for the board's consent to approve the appointment of Peggy McHugh as the village budget officer and finance director to fill the vacancy in this position for the remainder of the current term. We have consent from the board.
Aye.
Aye. Yes.
Motion-
Aye. You need a
motion to approve?
To approve.
Motion to approve?
Second. Roll call, please.
Okay, Trustee Hucker.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Otterson.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Motion carries.
You have a speech prepared for the extra effort now that you...
Secondly, we need a motion to approve the promotion of Ryan Van to the position of water operator.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and several seconds. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Otterson.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells. Trustee Hucker. Okay.
Aye. Motion carries. Then I think that concludes our report from the executive session. Is there any other business to be brought before this board? There being none, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion, second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?